Don't forget to go to AshKicking.com for pound the best home health and beauty fragrance products.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, I've been telling you for quite some time, the walls are definitely closing in on Gennady Golovkin. It's finally gotten to the point to where now Golovkin will be forced to either face the best competition he's ever faced or just go ahead and retire. The question is, what is he going to do? Before I go even further, let me go ahead and address this, because this is something I notice whenever I do a video talking about Gennady Golovkin. For some reason, the topic of Golovkin elicits so many racist people in the comment section. It's crazy. Because when it comes to me criticizing Keith Thurman, if he's not fighting against Errol Spence or other fighters are not fighting against Errol Spence, there are no racist comments in the comment section, right? When I talk about Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, that situation, there aren't too many racist comments in the comment section. But when we start talking about Gennady Golovkin facing his mandatories and facing the best competition he's ever faced on a consistent basis, now all of a sudden the comment section turns into Nazi's paradise. And the funny thing is, I keep telling these racist fans, if you disagree with anything that I said, if anything I said logically does not make sense, you actually have an opportunity to call me up directly on my radio show and you can tell me what I said that did not make sense. Because there's no way you can make sense of this, that you can watch my videos, you can say this in the comment section, but then all of a sudden when it comes to an actual conversation, that's when you no longer want to talk about this matter. Now, we know why they don't want to talk, because deep down they know that everything that I say, it logically makes sense. And they know deep down you cannot refute logical truth with ignorance. But in the comment section, it's therapeutic. And you can say whatever you want to say in the comment section. That makes you get over what is the truth, if the truth does not support your narrative. Now, something else I want you guys to be aware of. I want you to be aware of the code words and the code terms that racist people use in the comment section and why they do it. See, because when it comes to a racist person, when he sees that you're telling the truth, and once again, it doesn't fit their agenda, instead of them trying to argue what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, they're not going to go against your talking points because they know you're speaking the truth. So what they're going to do, they're going to use a different approach. They're going to try to suppress the truth. In other words, if you can't beat them, then you shut them up. Mafia style, right? If there's some witness that's about to testify, the mob knows that that guy is telling the truth. So what does the mob do? He shuts him up. He shuts him up. He tells him, you better not tell anybody the truth. If you tell the truth, you're going to die for it, right? They're not there to try to convince that person he's wrong. They're not there to say, well, you know what, buddy? I have proof that it wasn't me that did this. So you can go and sit on that stand and try to tell people all you want, but I have proof that I'm innocent. They're not going to do that because they know you're telling the truth. So they are going to shut you up. So some of the terms that racist people use to try to shut you up is calling you a race baiter, right? Oh, you're just race baiting. You're playing the race card. But here's how you know for a fact that they don't care about this race card term that they use. They don't care about quote unquote race baiting, just like the racist people that got mad at Colin Kaepernick for kneeling, for the national anthem, just like they don't care about the American flag. That's just a cover-up and a way for them to justify their ignorance. No different than an organization, All Lives Matter, using that title, All Lives Matter, as a distraction to cover up their own racism. You say All Lives Matter, but you only show up when Black Lives Matter shows up, and you have never protested All Lives Matter when some unarmed black kid or some unarmed brown kid gets shot and murdered by the police. How does that make sense? You only protest against other protesters? How does that logically make sense? It is a distraction. It is a way for them to justify their own racism. And this goes back to these terms that racist people use: playing the race card, you're race baiting. Like I said before, they don't care about a person that quote unquote race baits, because if they really cared about people quote unquote race baiting, they would be upset when they see people in the comment section for no reason at all just calling black people N-words and monkeys, etc., 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 right? When there's a video that has nothing to do about race or has nothing to do with race, and all of a sudden you got these people in the comment section, oh, you monkeys, you this, you that. How do you not respond to them and call them race baiters? The people that are really trying to stir up something in the comment section when no one is even talking about it. You don't have a problem with them, but you have a problem with the black people that report the racism. I say this all the time, and I'm gonna continue to say it because it's the perfect analogy. That is no different than you not having a problem with the criminals that are breaking the law, but you have a problem with the people that call the police on the criminals. Or you could even say you have a problem with the police officers that stop the criminals. That is the exact same type of logic you'd be using. So when it comes to playing the race card, when it comes to race baiting, if you really have a problem with playing the race card, then you would be addressing racist people that are bringing up race for no reason at all. That is the true definition of playing the race card. Don't you guys find it hella ironic that when racist people made everything about race by putting up segregation cards, putting up segregation signs like whites only, and no Mexicans, no dogs, or whatever type of signs they put up to suggest racism is the main focal point when it comes to this business right here. That's the main thing we're thinking about. Where were these terms of playing the race card, race baiting? Where were these terms then? You see how they weren't used when we had true definition of playing the race card? But now, once again, when it comes to reporting racism, now that's when those terms are so infamous. This is just too easy, man. It's too easy to expose racist, ignorant people. And I've been telling you guys this since day one. I've been telling you guys that boxing is based on race, nationality, and pride, in that order. Okay? All of this is based on race. These racists are so hypocritical. I told you guys that when they see these racial slurs and all that kind of stuff, they don't accuse that person that posted that racist comment, they don't accuse him of playing the race card, race baiting. I'll take it even further. Now, of course, if a black person reports racism, then they use this term. Something else that's pretty funny. You ever notice whenever someone in the comment section calls a black person like myself racist, you notice they still never called that person a race baiter? You see how the double standard works? You see how it's so easy to expose these racists as hypocrites? Right? They only want to call a black person a race baiter. But let all these Golovkin fans that are upset that we want to see him fight the best competition, let them say, hey, you're just being a racist. No one calls them a race baiter. So that exposes and completely debunks the notion of these people really not wanting to hear anything about race. Oh no, they want to hear about racism. They just want the racism to be directed towards black people. As long as it's something said offensive about black people, then they don't mind quote unquote race baiting. It just can't be a black person reporting it. That's what they don't want. Once again, they want to commit the crime, but they don't want news channels reporting the crime. That's what they don't want. It's so crazy when you think about it, because in every other sport, the goal is for your team, your player, to make it to the finals, to the gold medal match, to the Super Bowl, right? That is always the ultimate goal. If you're a football fan, basketball fan, baseball fan, that is what you dream of. Your team making it to the finals. Only in the sport of boxing do fans get mad at you because you want to see their favorite fighter in the finals, in the gold medal match, in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, etc., right? This is the only sport where someone will say, oh, you're just hating on Gennady Golovkin because you want him to be in the playoffs. You want him to fight in the finals, the Super Bowl, etc. Only in this sport. Why? Because once again, it's based on nationality, race, and pride. That is the reason why. Because it's more personal. You see, if you lose, if your favorite team loses the Super Bowl, it doesn't hurt as much because that team is not that attached to you in terms of your race, right? In terms of sometimes even your nationality, but mainly race. But see, when boxing is involved, now it's, I don't want my favorite fighter to lose to that black guy. In fact, I don't want him to lose to a black guy at all. This is how they look at it. This is how they look at it. Matter of fact, we know this to be the case. Because when Manny Pacquiao was fighting against Juan Manuel Marquez, you had a lot of fans that said, I remember they said, I'd rather just watch Manny Pacquiao and Marquez just fight the rest of their career, just fight against each other and no one else. Now, of course, you had your Marquez fans and you had your Manny Pacquiao fans, but what both fans had in common is that they preferred, if their fighter was going to lose to someone, they would rather Manny lose to Marquez or Marquez lose to Manny, as opposed to either one of them losing to a Tim Bradley, a Floyd Mayweather, or someone on the coincidental list. Once again, everything that I say is backed up with facts. We know this to be the case because when Tim Bradley first got his shot at Manny Pacquiao, the fans were enraged. They were upset because Tim Bradley got a shot at Manny Pacquiao. Now keep in mind, when Tim Bradley got his shot at Manny Pacquiao, Tim Bradley had just unified all the belts at 140. He was undefeated, moved up to a higher weight class after unifying all the belts. He was an action-packed fighter. There was no reason for fans to be upset with him being a possible opponent for Manny Pacquiao. But yet these same fans didn't have a problem when Manny Pacquiao was fighting against Chris Algieri, when he was fighting against Brandon Rios. When he was fighting against fighters like that, they had no problem. But when he fought Tim Bradley, they had a problem. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. They looked at it as this guy, Bradley, having a chance to beat Manny Pacquiao. And that's why they didn't want to see it. So going back to what I said before, once again, only in this sport do fans get upset when their fighter is catapulted into playoff status, Super Bowl status, the gold medal match status, right? But if you notice, when it comes to people like myself, how often do you hear me ranting about not wanting to see Errol Spence fight the best competition? Have you ever heard me say I don't want to see Floyd Mayweather fight Manny Pacquiao? I don't want to see Errol Spence fight this guy. I don't want to see Deontay Wilder fight that guy. No, you've never heard me say this. We want to see the best fights, right? I want to see Keith Thurman fight Errol Spence. I would love to see Terrence Crawford fight Errol Spence, right? We want to see these fights. But when it comes to certain fighters on the hope list like Gennady Golovkin, fans don't want to see their fighter in the Super Bowl. They don't want to see they hope their fighter doesn't advance to the Super Bowl. And the reason is simple. Because they don't feel deep down that their fighter is good enough to win the fight. They don't want to see him get second place. They rather him not even fight, right? Imagine if all sports worked this way. Imagine if you looked at things, you took it so personal that you did not want your football team to go to the Super Bowl because they might lose, right? Do you know if that was the case, we would never get to see any of these great fights or any of these great games, matches. So at the end of the day, fans, they know what it is when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. Fans would rather watch Golovkin fight easy competition for the rest of his life, for the rest of his career, just to say he didn't get beat by a black guy. He didn't get beat, let alone get beat by a black guy. That's what it is at the end of the day. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Once again, if any of you fans have a problem with anything that was said in this video, and you truly believe that what I said did not make sense, then you should be more than happy to come onto my show and tell it like it is. Let's see if you're willing to do it. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.